Oh my goodness, thank you so much for everyone who has joined us today and for a number of our ambassadors and delegates who have joined us. Thank you for coming, to our faith leaders, survivors of some of these atrocities, and what I would call everyone here a friend of freedom. Welcome to the United States mission to the United Nations. And today we speak of blood. We speak of the blood that still cries from Nigerian soil. This is deeply personal for me, as I know it is for Miss Minaj and her pastor here, Peters Adano, and others. I had the opportunity to serve in Nigeria in 2015, if you remember, when then 300 little girls were kidnapped from their schools, ripped out of their homes and schools in the middle of the day and in the middle of the night. We sent a small team over there, and we trained Nigeria's equivalent of their Navy SEALs to go get those girls back. It was righteous work. We didn't get them all back, unfortunately, but we got some. Some will be lost forever. And if you remember the infamous Save the Girls campaign, that was 10 years ago, folks. It's still happening. It just happened yesterday. 25 little girls were ripped out of their school. I pray that we get them back, but what often happens is they're sold into sex slavery. They're forced to renounce their religion. They never see their homes or families again, and they literally disappear to the dark underbelly of extremism and sex slavery. Look, 10 years later, the horror continues. In the Middle Belt and in the North, churches burn, mothers bury their children for the crime of singing Amazing Grace. Pastors have been beheaded. Pastors have been beheaded for preaching the Sermon on the Mount. Entire villages wake up to gunfire because they dare to commit the crime of calling Jesus their Lord. People go to jail under blasphemy laws for simply wearing a cross. This is not random violence. This is genocide wearing the mask of chaos. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation and a vibrant mosaic of cultures and faiths, but it is under siege. And in the northern region, you have 12 Muslim-majority states that are enforcing Sharia law and have enforced it since 1999. Jihadi groups like Boko Haram and the Fulani militias continue to unleash targeted violence. It is targeted. It is specific on these Christian communities. This year alone, the NGO, the nonprofit Open Doors, reports a very sharp rise in attacks. They're reporting 80% of the violence against Christians worldwide is occurring in Nigeria. Thousands are displaced, are killed in faith-based reprisals. So a few weeks ago, the United States designated Nigeria a country of particular concern for severe violations of religious freedom, spotlighting what can only be described as the government's failure to curb these atrocities. And while Nigerian officials maintain that terrorism strikes all faiths indiscriminately, and they do, there is a body of evidence, and you are going to hear that from our experts today, that paints a very grim picture of disproportionate suffering among Christians, where again, families are torn apart, clergy is repeatedly assassinated, and entire congregations, church congregations, and you see some of the images here, are driven into hiding. Folks, we have an entire faith that is being erased, one bullet at a time, one torched Bible at a time. Yet in the face of this evil, one leader has refused to look away. President Trump has made the persecuted church his priority like no other president before him in American history. He was the first U.S. president to convene world leaders right here at the United Nations in 2019 to draw the world's attention to what is happening. He created the Religious Liberty Commission to fight for believers everywhere. And while Nigeria's Christians cried out, he answered, and he has answered loudly. He has reminded the world that protecting Christians is not about politics. It is a moral duty. So inspiration alone is not enough. We need voices that pierce the silence that we've heard from the international community, that humanizes these statistics that we keep hearing, and that demands accountability. And that's why we're here today, to hear from a pastor that will dial in through our embassy in Nigeria, and we're going to hear his firsthand accounts of the suffering. We're also going to hear from experts who have dedicated their lives to religious liberty. I especially want to thank my friend Harris Faulkner, who, in addition to just being an amazing person, is also the daughter of a U.S. Army colonel, so that makes her extra special in my heart. And she has spent much of her career protecting this most basic, folks, this is the most basic of liberties, to worship as one sees fit. But we are especially thrilled that we're going to hear from an especially powerful voice, a fearless advocate whose passion for justice transcends borders, and she uses her voice to defend the voiceless. Hers are not empty words. They are a clarion call, echoing the UN's, the United Nations' own Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which proclaims that, quote, everyone has the right to freedom of thought, to freedom of conscience, and to freedom of religion. She steps onto this world stage not as a celebrity, but as a witness. She uses and has used her influence to spotlight Nigeria's persecuted church, reaching out to her 28 million followers, her barbs, as I've now learned. And she uses this, and as she steps on this global stage, to fund emergency relief and to demand action. Nicki, I can't tell you how much I admire you. You're stepping up. You're leaning into this issue. You've enjoyed amazing success, and you could be sitting back and just enjoying it. You could be just living the good life, but you're willing to come here today and roll up your sleeves, and let's try to solve this. Let's try to save these people. So everyone, please join me in welcoming a daughter of the Caribbean, a champion of the oppressed, and a sister in Christ, Nicki Minaj.